Are you ready to find your fearlessness? Join me, Life Coach Laura, and celebrity Erica DeLong for our Triangle Mystery School YouTube series. Our shows will inspire, challenge, and keep you wanting more out of life. Join us in the rippling effect of positive change in this world.
Hey, Life Coach Laura, and this is my co-host influencer,
Erica DeLong. Thank you so much for being with us today.
And we have been talking about self-awareness. So there are 5 separate pillars of self-awareness.
What are those 5
Those
things?
are.
Because we forget so quickly, but it's important to know these 5 pillars.
It's so true. So it's notice your thoughts, notice your feelings, notice when you're frustrated, lots of noticing, examine your friendships, and
Ooh, that's a big
examine
one.
your intimate relationships.
Big ones.
Today we're dealing with frustrations and
That's a big one.
how you react when you're
Ooh.
frustrated. Do you try to control others?
Yeah, I bet my husband is tuning in right now to listen to this one because especially like in a fight with your spouse, you're always trying to tell them, you did this, you did that, you need to do this, yada yada. Always trying to control. And we're frustrated. We're trying to fix something.
That's right. We had talked about in another episode about being frustrated when you're standing online and what you're feeling and what thoughts happen. Because it's the thoughts, your feelings, your frustrations, right? How your body reacts. And I said to Erica,
Like the lady in front of me, I'm like, hey, hurry up. What's her problem?
right, so she wants to put her frustrations on that person. She's frustrated because of that person. So she becomes a victim of that situation.
Which is really not the case because that lady is probably happy and on her merry little way, but I am the one that's dealing with an issue.
That's right.
Because I'm frustrated and I allowed that to happen.
Yes. You cannot control anybody. The only person you can control is you. Of course, you have little children, but that's another day. You get to decide how you want to feel. If you want to feel frustrated, you can feel frustrated. And this is what it is. This is why we are talking about having self-awareness. Because when you're self-aware and you recognize that you're frustrated, instead of you going to crazy town and getting yourself into trouble with the lady who's standing online,
Which can happen.
yes, it can. Or in the car and you're beeping at somebody, right? I had a client of mine who struggled in the car because she drove every day and she always got off the ramp, but you wait to get off the ramp, but everybody would pass, like, come in, and she was like,
Road rage,
like crazy. And we worked around, how does that make you feel?
Right.
Crappy. Do you go into work feeling horrible and you're frustrated and you're sometimes having interactions with other people around these things? And when she became so self-aware of how her body felt during this, what she was thinking, how it was affecting her when she got to work, she was able to make small changes around it, starting to see it differently. And I won't go into all of that, but she really did. And let me tell you, she wasn't F-bombing. She wasn't honking. She still felt frustrated, but she took it down to a level that she can handle.
I can only visualize, and I don't know the situation, but because she was self-aware, she could maybe leave 5 minutes earlier to allow that extra time to help her, like if she was mad about that, or maybe she stopped and got a coffee and that brought happiness to her. Like maybe those small changes because she was self-aware makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and that's really good suggestions. But do you attempt to distract yourself when you're frustrated?
Yes, I don't know if you're like this, Laura, but instantly wanting to go out of town, to leave this situation. So maybe you're frustrated with your family and they've just made you so upset. You're like, we're going out of town, we're going to the beach. And you just leave. And you just kind of like push it under the rug and you leave.
Right.
But you never really fix the problem.
Right. You just end up
leave.
frustrated and aggravated. And
then when you return from your trip, you're still angry about the situation. Frustrated.
so we're going to have Erica, and she doesn't know I'm going to ask her this question.
Oh, here we go.
Well, we want to see, she's telling me this, so I want to know what her takeaway is about, so if this is her self-awareness, she needs to be self-aware, and when she gets frustrated, to be happier, right? To be your authentic self. How did you, when you got frustrated, what happens for you? Tell us about that whole situation. So when you get frustrated, you're self-aware about that, right?
Mm-hmm. I am now, but before I would vomit out things that I should not have said in a public place to anybody. But I just would say things when I was below the line, and I would mean things, honestly, just mean, especially to those I love the most, I would say mean things. But as you grow more self-aware, you're like, okay, if my husband and I get in an argument, I need to get in my car to go listen to music, drive around the block, come back and say, hey, let's talk about that. That didn't make me feel good. But instead of saying like, yo, M or F or this, that, just saying like,
Road rage, crazy.
I mean, it just changes. So I think the awareness really makes a huge impact. But the leaving town thing, I mean, that can also be self-awareness where you're like, I'm stressed in this part of my life, but when I travel with my family, I feel happiness. And so when you know that, you're self-aware, and so you're like, okay, we're gonna plan trips, you know, to bring that happiness out. So it doesn't always have to be you're escaping.
No, absolutely not. And then you can pull out the journal.
Yeah, the journal.
Take your journal out and ask yourself, why am I always frustrated? You know, why? Why am I complaining all the time? Why am I a victim of everything that's happening around me? Because you get to choose. This is your life. This is why we're doing this work. This is why we want to become more self-aware so that it can happen quicker, easier, and less stressful.
I have a question for you. So what does it mean if you don't notice the frustrations, but those around you are like, why are you so angry? Why do you wake up angry? Why are you so hateful? What do you say to that?
So that's a really good question. And that's going to take us down a little different road, but we're going to go there.
Okay.
Okay? First of all, no one can tell you how you feel.
Okay.
Right?
That's it's your feelings, you own them.
Right. So, you know, you're so sensitive. Don't tell me how to feel. I'm sensitive. I like to feel that way. You're making it derogatory. Maybe I don't call it sensitive. Maybe I call it frustrated. So I
feel like her New York side's coming out more. She's like, those are my feelings.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, I guess it must be a value of mine when people tell you how to feel. So if somebody says, you know, you're being nasty, or, you know, you sound so frustrated, you can ask them a question. Just ask them like, oh, maybe take a step back, take a breath.
Okay.
You know, instead of just saying, leave me alone, I'm not frustrated, just say, I need a minute. Let me see what's happening here. Or what are you seeing? What are you seeing that's looks like frustration? Come on, it's a communication. If you don't ask these questions, you're not gonna know. You're just gonna fight, and then that's it, right? So even the other person who's like, you seem so frustrated, they're already in reactive mode, right? They're already below the line because they're attacking you and telling you how you feel. So, you know, it's like everybody needs to just take a deep breath. And it sounds like a lot. And it sounds like, well, how am I gonna get them to do it? Well, even if the other person doesn't do the work and you do the work, you'll definitely see it differently. And it won't bother you as much.
So when that person says to me, or whoever it may be, you that's watching right now, says, you're so nasty when you come into work every day, you can say, okay, don't get frustrated with that statement. Take a step back, realize like it's gonna be okay. And that's their feelings. That's how they feel. That's how they see it. That's not what's actually going on here.
That's right.
And so you can't react with frustration because then you're kind of back on the same playing field, if that makes sense.
Exactly. So when you think about what she just said, right, which was so good, somebody accusing you of being something that you're not, right? It's never about you. It's always about the other person who's being accusing. Something is going on with them. And this is how we can learn, and we will definitely be expanding on this. This is how you can learn to combat what other people say to you and not take it personally. It's never about you, it's always about them. Okay, and we will definitely, you know, do a whole video on that. So just being able to be self-aware enough to know, oh, I'm okay. It's just like, you know, maybe if you see them kind of reactive and they're below the line, maybe just walk away. Maybe address them later. Okay. When you see them a little better, you can go, hey, you okay? Like, you know, just, hey, you okay?
Right.
You know, you never know. And then it just kind of goes to the wayside because it's never about you, it's always about them. Does that help?
So to sum it up, like what is the best way for someone to notice their frustration and how do they document it to better serve themselves for self-awareness?
Well, where do you feel frustration in your body?
I always get that tightness here.
Okay.
And sometimes I feel like I have blackout modes. When you get really angry, honestly, it's like everything goes numb. I'm just being honest. Like you don't even, it's like your consciousness is not even there. You're just completely out of it. I feel like the Hulk at times. And not to sound like I'm a beast, but I'm saying there are times when all of us get very angry and you really just black out. You don't know what's happening.
No, you don't.
So.
And that's so below the line consciousness, that's definitely drinking a bottle of vodka.
Yes.
Exactly. So
when I feel that, I know, don't react. Step away, calm yourself down, collect your thoughts, have data behind it. Maybe if it's something that somebody's accusing you, have the data or the facts or whatever you need, the information before you respond poorly, because we're all gonna respond poorly when we're below the line and we're very frustrated.
Exactly. And I do not pay her to say these things.
No, but she coached me though. Like you honestly, I'm just saying,
I don't want you to think this is BS and she's just telling you what you want to hear. This is seriously what you can do to be happier, and feel better about your relationships and everything else around you, just becoming more self-aware. And all these little tidbits, if you take them one by one, pull your journal out and write down about your frustrations, what's frustrating you and why you're frustrated, you will be more self-aware. We just want to say thank you so much for joining us today.
And the free worksheet, don't forget that.
That's right.
Very valuable.
Yes, it is. It really is. So we have a free worksheet for you, and it is 10 little life hacks about how to be more self-aware. And you get to print it out, you get to share it with everybody.
Give it to your girlfriends over dinner while you're eating. Say, hey, everybody take this worksheet, 10 simple questions. You'll have it done before the appetizers.
Right, and it'll be a great way for conversation. If you're interested in sending us your questions and interested in having some life coaching done indirectly, you can email us at team, that's TEAM, at trianglelifecoaching.com. Send your questions into us, and if you get chosen, you will win a life coaching session with me. It's a 30-minute laser coaching session.
Which is great because she'll instantly get back to you within a couple hours. That way you can work on that issue that might be pressing on your life right then at that moment. So, and don't forget, when you do send in your questions, it'll be anonymous, so we won't reveal your identity, and that one question can probably help so many. So thank you.
Thank you so much, and that's our 2 cents.